Hey everybody, it's Dive Girl Deb, and today I am starting my summer Venom Saturation program. So, as sadly some of my friends know, I've had a really difficult medical year. I'm really kind of honestly surprised that I've survived, but we're going to try to get me recovered now. And what's happened to me is I added to my previous pathogen loads, which of course are extensive. In addition to Lyme, I have 5 Bartonella strains, Ehrlichia, Anaplasma. We conquered Babesia, relapsing fever, and then a whole litany of viral loads, as of course patients have. Cytomegalovirus, Epstein-Barr. I had mononucleosis really bad as a teenager. And those are all coming back as my immune system has just crashed, because I'm a 61-year-old Lyme patient and I'm likely a congenital patient. So I think, for me, I've been looking at all the best options. So my doctor said, well, based on your testing and the look of your immune system, we should look at IVIG, which is IV immunoglobulins. And we went with Gamunex and tried that for 6 months. And sadly, during that period, I developed a horrendous, and I mean absolutely horrendous, shingles outbreak. All across my chest and arms, up in my head. My right arm's pretty bad. I've got it in both legs and feet. And so it is systemically, so throughout my whole body, in my neurologic system. And we're treating that with, of course, doxycycline and famciclovir. But I've gotten into some Lyme carditis now, and the answer is, of course, nitroglycerin pills, a beta blocker, aspirin every day, and like taking your blood pressure. And I can't do anything. My heart just is very unhealthy. Cardiologist, that's 3 months referral time. And by the time I get there, this will resolve itself. I've been down this road before when I first got sick with Lyme. And for me, when I get cardiology stuff, that means my pathogens are exceptionally high. And, at the end of the day, I have to admit, I have set down my bees. And I think that that's true for a lot of, the beginning apotherapists. And I honestly think that it was true for Amber Rose while we were working together, is that you just sting yourself so damn many times, like 20,000 for me, and you just get tired of it, and you set it down. And I admit I did that. I have not done a real intensive sting schedule for probably 3 years, because I just did so well that I just launched and went out and enjoyed life, kind of like a normal person in remission. It was lovely. Well, what I did not do, and what I'm feeling like now as an apotherapy coach, I want to add on to my teachings and the belief system that I think how we need to approach apotherapy to treat pathogens. That's my Facebook group, by the way. But apotherapy to treat pathogens is really timely, but it's only good while the venom's in your body, which means you got to keep putting it in. And so the question is, if you're a long-term apotherapy user and you've done the basic first step protocol, and by the way, we can see that up here. We're going to talk about that. And you've done 10 stings a session, and then you've branched out in your body. Maybe you moved up to 20 stings. And if I was coaching you, you went up to 30 and 40 stings a session, and sometimes 5 of those sessions a week. I have done some really deep saturations in myself and others privately, and I've gotten phenomenal benefits during this time. By adding larger quantities of venom, and I mean really saturating the body, we can do a lot of good. I mean, we can turn back time. We can erase pathogen loads in areas to really minimal levels, and we can restore the body, lowering pain, dissolving scar tissue, ameliorating the entire healthy cells within you. Because remember, bee venom doesn't hurt healthy cells. It only interacts with pathogens, your bacteria, your viruses, and your parasites, which like Babesia would be considered a parasite like malaria. So anyway, if you want to learn more about apitherapy, please go to the Flippin Lyme Foundation, and I'm going to show you some stuff on that too. And check out our absolutely free 22 hours of free apitherapy experience and education. So if you want to get your own saturation of information, go there, check it out. I'll put the link in here. It'll be so much fun. You'll learn and listen to it. In 3 weeks, listen to it. And in 6 weeks, listen to it. Because every time you'll pluck some information out of it and you're like, oh, I didn't catch that the first or second time. So what am I doing this summer? Okay, so this summer, I'm going to do what I call my summer venom saturation program. And why? Well, for 5 months, I'm going to put a higher level of venom uptake into my system. But this is synchronized with the maximum honeybee colony production. So in other words, during this summer month, right? We've got 5 months where your colony grows and gets huge and expands. So my thinking is, let's follow what nature is telling us here. We should be doing huge sting sessions like this in the summertime when we have lots of available bees, and then maybe taper us down or take a break in the winter months and let the colonies heal and recover so they can support us next season. So with that, this means that we have very few limitations. And this is the mindset of this program, that there are few limitations because it's a saturation objective, okay? We're not doing a basic protocol here. And this is intended solely, like only, for those advanced bee venom practitioners who started and surpassed the 10 sting protocol for years, and they want to go further, okay? And I want that for only those individuals to pay attention to this. You always, this is the golden rule, this is the thing that will make or break you with venom. You always remain below your detox limits. This means you're not going to kill off more pathogens and stuff than your liver and kidneys and your lymph system can all flush out of you. And if you're not eating right, if you're not drinking enough fluids, if you're not going poop enough every day, you're not detoxing. And that's your limiting factor with venom, always. So, but you're always going to remain below your limit with this program. If you don't know our protocol, you're welcome to go listen here to the full protocol. It's Amber Rose and I did a radio show. We read it word for word. And where do you find it? On the BlogTalkRadio network, search for Flippin Lyme. Flippin, there's no G, Lyme. So it's BlogTalkRadio, Flippin Lyme, bee venom therapy protocol for treating Lyme and chronic infections. Episode number 10. Really great. Download it on your phone for free and listen to it. Share it with your friends. Put it on your Facebook walls and Twitter and everywhere. Tell everybody. So what do you need? Okay, we're going to go down below here and look at what I have. It's not difficult, but what's absolutely required, as in not optional, required, your supplies. You need to be able to consume 3,000 to 6,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day. Now, normally in bee venom, we're doing 1,000 milligrams 3 times a day. This is double that. And so some patients can't detox, and some more vitamin C is helpful for this. And then there are some people who can't digest this much vitamin C with gut issues. They might try like a time release or some buffered C. There's options out there. So, but for this saturation, you've got to have higher vitamin C. And I'm going to definitely be slamming like 2,000 milligrams 3 times a day is my plan. You got to have 2 bottles of Liquid Benadryl, the children's version. In case you get a little too much histamine, you have to have an unexpired EpiPen on hand. And I'll tell you, you must have this. I won't talk to you unless I know that you have one. And so you go to your doctor, get a prescription for this, and if you have a true anaphylactic shock response, you jab this in your thigh, and then you go to the emergency room immediately and let them manage your cardiac events that may happen. So that's how we work. That's not an option. And then, of course, you know, your liquid children's Benadryl, if you get a little bit too much histamine, like redness and swelling or terrible itch that you can't manage. But the most important product is your vitamin C, because your vitamin C here is going to allow you to produce cortisol, and cortisol, when it converts, will help you to process the venom. So if you're gluten-free and you try to bake a cake without flour, you know how very difficult it is, or make bread. So vitamin C is like your flour in making cortisol. It's absolutely essential. So, and even if you're a beekeeper and you don't want to use venom, always take your C before you play with bees. Okay? Always. So before you go out to your beehives and work them and maybe get some stings, take a vitamin C. Have a chewable or gummies or whatever. Doesn't matter. Can you drink orange juice? Yep, maybe. A glass of orange juice is 84 milligrams, and we need thousands. So you're gonna, unless you're drinking like 12 gallons of orange juice a day, you're gonna need a supplement. Okay, so those are the requirements: your EpiPen, your vitamin C, your Liquid Benadryl. You make sure that your cell phone is fully charged and ready in case you have an emergency. So these are absolute safety requirements, and there are no compromises on these items, period. End of story. It's with me. If you're not doing these things, then don't even consider this. And please don't participate if you're not doing these things. Don't ever encourage anybody who's violating these safety standards to continue stinging, because they're jeopardizing their own safety, and we're not going to do that. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts. You must do this. The EpiPen is absolutely critical. If you're starting out, go back, listen to the protocol. There are other shows here that you should listen to. There's a show on how to get started, which is excellent. Listen to that one next. This video is for advanced practitioners only, okay? But it's for those people who want to go further. All right, so, but remember, medical miracles often occur with bee venom therapy. Often. Please continue to support our nonprofit, the Flippin Lyme Foundation. We have not accepted donations in 3 years because COVID kind of killed us, but we're still here, and you can share and like and follow our products for free. And, you know, give us a little love if you would. Show your hearts. And get your sting on, baby. That is our trademark phrase. You're welcome to use it. The trademark means you can't make money on it without paying the foundation, but otherwise, tell your friends, like, get your sting on, baby. And we will see this big old logo on the side of our sailboat, which is SV Melittin's Miracle. We have a 30-foot sailboat that the foundation's working on as a nonprofit vessel to help educate about apitherapy and chronic illness with Lyme and other pathogens for our community. This vessel, I'm hoping, will continue to serve the community well after I'm gone. And it is a honeybee-themed vessel, very unique, and it's going to be so much fun to put that together. Quick disclaimer, I am not a doctor. I'm a Lyme patient, and I know what I know about my Lyme disease experience as a patient only. I'm a pre-vet animal science degree in college, so I have some science behind me, but I am not a medical professional. Though I do dress as one for Lyme disease activist events, and it's fun to talk about. Follow your doctor's advice. Always discuss things with your doctor. You cannot take beta blockers with bee venom because if you're on a beta blocker, you cannot use an EpiPen as a rescue agent. And remember, this is required. So you've got to work with your doctor to manage your beta blockers and to eliminate those from your system before you consider venom. You must do a testing, that's essential. So you'll put a stinger in an area, you'll see how you respond. Wait 30 minutes, if you're still talking and you can breathe properly and you're following the protocol up here, you're good. And then you can continue to sting, but you've got to do a testing. Perform your own due diligence and bee venom therapy research prior to use, okay? This is your personal choice to engage with it. I would strongly encourage you to have a look at it and utilize it, but you got to do your own due diligence on this and do research. If you want personal coaching advice, you can email the foundation at flippinlyme@gmail.com. You can also call 541-854-5336. So there you go. So I hope that kind of explains what I'm doing here with the saturation program. And I am really like laying it out. We did the 2015 BVT challenge, and you can do a pound with the 2015 BVT challenge and search for that. And you'll see we had almost 60 people participate in that challenge that I laid out, and every single one of them showed dramatic improvement with their venom therapy. It was phenomenal. It was great. So I think this year what we ought to do is a new pound sign. So I'll come up with one, I'll put it in the video here, and we'll add it in. But this is our summer saturation at the end of the day. And I think that this is the kind of thing that I probably went too long in not performing it because, I was following the advice of my doctor, and it led us in a direction of IVIG, and I wasn't sure that venom could help my immune system that much. And the idea and a lot of the benefits that IVIG offers in importing immunoglobulins from 6,500 donors, that should build my immune system back up and strengthen me. But yet, why did I end up with literally 10 months of festering wounds on my body, in an outbreak of shingles that's, real frankly, still not finished with me? But I do have scar tissue from that, which I need to sting. But I'm more concerned about what it's doing inside of me, especially in my nervous pathways. And the one thing I know about venom, and Sherman tells you this, some of you youngsters might not remember who Sherman is. This is Sherman. Sherman is our anatomical doll, and his job primarily is to show us all the acupuncture meridian lines and points. Now, these are pretty good for sting locations throughout the entire body. I have stung all of them, and all you advanced patients should as well, including the little feet. There's feet stings, there's hand stings, there's head stings. Ouch, that hurts, buddy. You took a tumble. But head stings are an absolute rush and a miracle. And yes, during the saturation, we're going to saturate the head. Head stings as well are important. The neck. Now, a lot of viruses, this is like true of the sexual herpes virus. Type 1 lives in the base of your neck and affects your head. Type 2 lives in the base of your hips and affects you from there up primarily. So that's kind of how those work. Now, the shingles has been a lot of upper body for me. And so my focus is going to be a lot of saturation here. But the neat thing that Sherman can show us as well is that these points are a place where it's a spigot where you can pour venom into your nervous pathways. Isn't that cool? And why do we care about nerves? Well, because venom is almost like a solvent, kind of like a gasoline solvent or a thinner solvent. It's such a teeny, teeny, teeny microscopic particle that when you've got cells, it can slip right between them and migrate throughout the body, and it'll cruise past the ones that are healthy, and then when they encounter a war zone of bad guys, they go in there and fight and they get used up, and then you've got to send in some reinforcements and keep moving the line forward so you win the war. But nerves are critically important for treating Lyme and for using bee venom. Because these guys right here, they get really big and fat along your spine, which is why we start stinging along the spine when people begin, right? They've got a nice big back area that can expand. It's not going to be an arm that's small. It's got a nice big area to expand, but we can hit those nerves. And we can use this chart right here. And if we want to send like venom to someone in their stomach, we can hit them at T6 right up here, and we can deliver venom right into their bellies. And that's the beauty of venom. It flows through the superhighways of the nervous system. Well, if that's where my shingles virus, which is chickenpox in us old trolls now in the 60s, is almost a senior, it's living in those superhighways of the nerves. Well, that's where the venom wants to be. That's where it flows through, just like the blood through your veins and arteries in your body, and your circulatory system flows through your lymph system. They are multi-system, like big superhighways that carry fluids around your body. Well, your nervous system is going to move the venom, and you want to utilize this. So by killing the pathogens in the nerves, most especially these viral loads, I am going to recover, Deb. So, 5 months. Come on, baby. Take the BVT challenge with me, and let's see if we can make everybody's life better. And we're going to go into a saturation mode. It's very different, and there are no limitations. It's going to be mind-blowing for some people out there. You might ask yourself, like, how the hell does she know any of this is going to work? So this is me preparing my spine. Here's an old scar from my first fusion. And all summer long, I stung my lumbar area. See, that's 8 stings here and 8 stings here. I was doing this about 5 days a week. I worked up to about 40 stings a session, and I did this for 3 months. So when I got my second spinal fusion, they took out all of the hardware from the first one. They put new hardware in. They had to scrape off horrendous spinal stenosis from the front of me and the back of me. Plus, they went into my hip to get bone marrow. And the second fusion, I used a walker to get to my mailbox at 2 weeks. The first one was 6 weeks. And the first one was really rough without bees. The second was so much better. I didn't need any physical therapy. I went in and saw my doctor for an appointment. Went down, I got an x-ray, went upstairs to neurosurgery over there at Peace Health, and the neurosurgeon walks in and he's scratching his head and he's really confused, and he looks at me, like, is this really like how old was I then? Like 57-year-old female? And he looks at me and like verifies that it's me, and he looks back at the picture and he looks at me and he just is like mystified. And I looked at, and because he's like collecting himself, he's like reviewing things before we just initially start to talk. And I knew something was up. It just didn't feel normal. Sure enough, he was just like, he still couldn't account for it when we were finished. I'll just say it was a mystery to him, and shall always remain a mystery to him. But what I did was essentially my first summer saturation program. And the result was that, and I have these images if people want to see them, at 86 days, I was 100% healed and fused in that surgery. And my bone was super dense and clean. There were no signs of infection. There were no complications. My scar was flat and tiny. I just rebounded almost instantly. In fact, I forced him to release me 2 days early out of the hospital. And we did snake some bees into the hospital, and I wanted some venom in me afterwards to help clear the anesthesia and the chemicals that they gave me for surgery, and to help promote my recovery. And I personally would do this again. That's just how I feel. And then when I got home, I had, I think, 2 weeks of a home nursing check-in, like, to change my dressing and help maybe cook a meal if I needed it. But I was already up and moving, and I was doing venom. I had some local patients that came by and were stinging me all around my incision and throughout the rest of my body, and I recovered just so well. So Venom Saturation absolutely works. All right, so how's this going to work? Well, I took my bee housing unit and some tongs and such, and I gave it to my doctor because I thought she needed venom. And so I don't have my normal housing box, and I'm probably going to build one. But 2 days ago, my lovely friend Marion, who I help manage her hives and coach her a little bit on beekeeping stuff, I went over and helped her with their hives, and we pulled a box off for me to start a colony, nice fresh eggs in there, and brought it to the house. And so now I have a box of bees out there in the garden, and they are going to provide me all of my bees. And so what I do is I go out with a net, run a little figure, like a butterfly net, and run a figure 8 and catch bees, and then I put them in my container, and I just bring them in and let them settle down for about an hour, and then I start doing my sting therapy. When I get done, I go outside and I take the lid off and I let them go back. And then I just get a fresh batch when I need them that way. And so I'm not like keeping these bees in this container long term, but you could. And so I'm going to just show you really quick how I made a really cheap, quick BVT container. And as a beekeeper, some of the things that I think are important for you to have as factors for the girls. So I'm just using a little peanut container. I left the bottom to have a little reservoir so that I can put water in here. It has a sponge in the bottom. That way they can drink in between that sponge, and you can see there's a little bit of water, so that can be cleaned out really easily. And this is a kind of a bar keeping kind of sponge. It's pretty coarse, has pretty good holes in it. This also means that if there's any loose honey, that it won't be on the surface, because the bees don't want to get that on them. And then I went out to my hive and I got a chunk of comb honey, which you can see there, and I just wrapped it in a sheet of foundation. And I think that this is probably one of the really best and easiest ways to feed your girls, because they can chew through this honey into the cells and get the honey out whenever they want to eat it. And they have a nice clean surface to walk on that's not got honey in it. And that will keep the honey off of their bodies, because once they get honey on their bodies, they die. So keep them clean. And I drilled some holes in it for ventilation. And then I just cut a big hole here in the top with a screen. And it just really doesn't have to get much more complex than that. You could put like a cloth napkin over this, or a handkerchief over it in the evenings to keep them a little bit warmer. Set it on top of your refrigerator if it's cold in the wintertime, and they'll stay warmer. But they have structure, they have water, they have honey, and the environment is clean. That's very important. So if you're going to handle your bees, you want to make sure your hands are clean, no soap, and none of the junk we're all walking around with. I got vitamin C, which we talked about, Benadryl liquid. You can take a small portion of Benadryl this way and not have to have a whole capsule. Of course, I have a backup here. And I will start with my testing, and then I'm probably going to go jump into about 8 stings is my plan. And I know that's a lot, and it's higher than what people say that you should do in this scenario, but we're breaking norms here, and I think it's going to be just fine. Now, I do spend a lot of time on detox. I always do this. And so for me, I'm drinking lemon salt water all the time. I go take a detox bath. I do dry skin brushing. And if I have trouble processing venom, I don't sting for a day or two and let it clear my system. And then usually, if you hit a barrier like that and then you run at it again, it'll just be dissolved. It'll just fade away and just be gone. And so the only barrier is going to be in your mind, because you're going to have doubt that you bounced up against the wall and that's your limit, and your knee-jerk reaction will be more conservative and maybe go into 4 to 6 stings. And I think often that's an error. If you're doing 8, you hit a wall, take a few days off, come back at least with 8 and maybe 10. I am a little more aggressive with a lot of people in treatments, and I get better results for it. This is not typical. This is for advanced people, once again. But I think we have to break some of these mental barriers about how this works. Because your first storm of venom dissolved the wall, and you just got a little bit of structure left. Now you can open it up further. And this will clean out your lymph system, and you'll detox better with the more venom that you do. So really, get your sting on, baby. Okay, so this is today's plan. I have everything I need, and it's really not complex. The best of these, what are called reverse tongs. So when you squeeze them, they open. So when you got bees in here and you're going to move around a sting, I always rotate mine so I can grip it this way and you don't accidentally squeeze and release a bee. I know this from practice. So grip them, get used to gripping them this way. And you'll notice that it's bent open slightly. And this is so that it's just going to hold her and not crush her exoskeletal body. So the bees, their skeletons on the outside of them, and you're going to grab her right here where the wings attach. There's a lot of big muscles in this part of the body. It's a very good, safe place to grip onto her until you're ready to sting. And if she gets loose, she's going to go for the window, turn off your lights, and get a container and recapture her. Or I like to just put a little cloth over them, and they'll start crawling on that, and you can kind of crump it over and then cruise around in there and pluck her right out. So I'm going to go to, of course, do my testing. I'll put the stinger in for 30 minutes, or about 15-30 seconds, scrape it off so that I don't get any more venom, wait 30 minutes, and then I can go in and start my full stings. And I gotta think about where I'm gonna start, but I really do want to work on probably some of this upper body stuff because that's where my shingles is. I might even come out in some of these areas where I had some bad shingles patches. I know I want to get this right arm because this has really been a problem area. This forearm will get a lot of saturation because you can see I've had some lesions and stuff going on here, and I want to clear all this out. So, but I can't start down here. I've got to start up here and then begin to work my way down. And so in order to get over there, I've got to start over in the shoulder area, a little further from the spine. So I think my first things is probably going to be in this area, up in this upper shoulders, and then prepare to go up into my head and my neck. So I think that's what's going to be today. This video is a little bit longer than I wanted, but I wanted to show you guys how easy it is just to do a little temporary container. Now, if you buy bees from the Allens or those folks in the Carolinas, you can still set them up this way. And then it doesn't have to be a high dollar expensive unit. You can find, you can get started with this for probably less than $80, including your first few bees. So it's easy. And of course, if you have a local beekeeper that you can get bees from, that's terrific. But I think it's really important to remember that the maximum bee colony population is your queen is laying like 2,000 eggs a day in the middle of summer solstice. So that's June 21st. So we really want to be starting this May, June, July, August, and September, because at the end of September, your colony has really shrank down. She's laying maybe 1,000 eggs a day because they're preparing for winter and they get really cranky in the fall. So this is really a program for saturation for just the summer. I think that we ought to be looking at this and coming to grips with the reality that having an intensive summer program as a regular, like a tune-up for our advanced patients is what we've been missing. And of course, whenever you see our little honeybee logo from the Flippin Lyme Foundation, you know we've been here teaching live bee venom therapy to Lyme and chronic illness patients. And there's our email and our phone number. Get your sting on, baby. Our trademark phrase. I am Dive Girl Deb, the Venom Whisperer. Now get out there and get your summer saturation program in place. Come on, baby. Take the BVT challenge this year and let's see if we can't make miracles happen in you, just like everybody else who has tried this. I know it'll work for me. I'm going to do regular videos and update folks on my progress. So step 1 now, take a shower, get your skin clean. Step 2, eat some breakfast, take your vitamin C. Step 3, do your stings. Step 4, take a nap and let it go to work and heal. Step 5, do it again the next session. So I will be starting 3 sessions a week, but I likely will go to 5. You're going to need a lot of bees for this program. So, are you up for this? Are you in for a saturation program? Do you have some critical issues going on that you want to go in there and send in a big punch like Mike Tyson and just knock it around? And you need a lot of bees. So the middle of summer is the perfect opportunity for this. If you're not a beekeeper, find one. Find your local clubs, talk to them, go buy some bees, see if they'll set up a hive on your property for you and maintain it for you if you're sick. But find a way. There's a way to do this, and it's not that hard. But I think these big saturation events like this are where we are going to see some like massive chunks of improvement. So, and I'm pretty bad right now. I lifted 2 heavy super high boxes when we were setting up these bees, and I nearly had a heart attack. It's just like, holy shit, I've got to do this now. So I think that we'll take care of this cardiac stuff and more. So stay tuned. Either I'm batshit crazy or I'm smarter than a fox. I think it's the latter, that I'm smarter than a fox. So, guys, get in here, get your sting on, and follow me. It's going to be a load of fun. And, summer Venom Saturation program begins. There we go. I love you guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.